What's up, everyone?
What's up, everyone? Hello, everyone. Hey, guys. Welcome to today's video. I'm Daniel.
I'm here in Iowa,
Gold Coast Casino.
I'm ready to give you guys another vlog.
Hey, everybody. So welcome to today's episode of Arsenal Building. So today I'm going to be doing part one of building my arsenal for the USBC Open Championships. So today I have made a pattern that I want to practice on. Also, I'll throw out a disclaimer of I'm bowling in a completely different state, in a completely different part of the US, on a completely different lane surface, with a completely different oiling machine. So there's a lot of variables that not only I know, but I also want to express to you guys, the viewers, that are going to be different than how the Open Championships actually plays. But that said, this gives me an idea of kind of how that it might play based on some videos I've seen. Now, last year I did something very similar to this. I did a two-part series on building my arsenal for the 2022 USBC Open Championships. I'll link part one in the top right of your screen right now. You should definitely check that out as well. But today we're going to start with the 2023 USBC Open Championships, building my arsenal. In this video, I'll be focusing mostly on the doubles and singles portion of the event. And if you want to see me focus on the team event, then be sure and check out part two, which is the next episode that I'm making in regards to how I want to attack the team event. But for today, I'm going to be focusing on the doubles and singles portion of it, and part two will be coming out soon. So, like I said, what we're going to do is I'm going to go practice at Bolorama Lanes here in Iowa, and I'm going to kind of get an idea for, how that certain balls are rolling and stuff, so that I can determine what 6 balls that I'm going to bring to the USBC Open Championships. So let's get started. Now, when building an arsenal, one thing that a lot of people talk about, especially for tournaments like the USBC Open Championships or any tournament where it's going to be on a sport pattern, a lot of talk is about urethane. When to take it, should I take it, how many should I take if I take it, and stuff like that. So one thing that I like to do, especially during this time of practice, is kind of figure out where I want my ball to read on the pattern from front to back. So for instance, urethane balls hook a lot earlier than reactive resin balls, and that's mostly why that they're super smooth compared to a lot of reactive resin balls that hook so much more down lane. If you want something, some more in-depth information on it from another video that I've made, check out the top right corner of your screen right now. I'm linking how to throw urethane effectively. That's an older video that I made, and it answers a lot of questions that a lot of people have, and maybe even that you have about urethane. One thing that I know about the USBC Open Championships is that normally urethane is good to have in the bag, at least as one option. And so, because of that, today I'm going to be taking 3 different urethanes with me to test them out and see kind of what I think. So the first one is going to be a Rubicon UC3, the second one's going to be a Zen U, and the third one's going to be a Seismic Desperado LE. Now, the reason that I'm trying these 3 specifically are, first of all, because this year it seems like they're not hooking nearly as much as they did last year. That also has to do with the lane surface in Reno being, decently new, that it's just not going to hook as much. And so because of that, I think the UC3 could certainly come into play. The Zen U keeps my angles a lot straighter, but still has quite a bit of flair to it. And the Desperado LE is just like a backup plan, basically. Something that's super smooth, super early, and super controllable, that doesn't hook a lot. So with that said, those are the 3 I'm going to be taking today. Otherwise, I'm going to be taking 6 more just to work with and test out today. So that includes the Venom Shock from Motive, the Rotogrip Idol Cosmos, the Storm IQ Ruby, as well as the Hammer Obsession Tour Pearl, the 900 Global Zen, and Zen Master. And the reason that I'm bringing a lot of these is not only to see how it breaks down, but also what is able to get down the lane but still be early enough to where it doesn't absolutely go sideways off the end of the pattern, because I just simply know there's not going to be that's not going to come into play very likely. So looking forward to practicing today. Here we go. So guys, now that I'm back home from practice on that pattern, I want to kind of give you my thoughts on what I saw out there and show you a bunch of the video of shots that I threw. So first, to start off, I warmed up as per usual just by throwing my Venom Shock, which had 1,000 grit on it that I had just freshly put on there. To start, just to kind of burn a line a little bit to the gutter. One thing that you'll notice too throughout these videos is the left lane was hooking a lot more than the right lane. The right lane wasn't really hooking at all, and the left lane was hooking a ton. And so, it was very hard to combat that and figure out how I wanted to combat that and just kind of go through and figure out what balls might work. After I finished warming up, I bowled 4 games. So for the first game, I ended up throwing urethane. I threw the Zen U on the left lane and the UC3 on the right lane. Once again, the reason for that is because the left lane was hooking a lot more than the right lane. So the Zen U, I was throwing like 8-9 at the arrows and trying to get it out to about 4-5 down lane, which is actually the exact same thing I was doing on the right lane, just with the UC3 instead of the Zen U. I also hit my UC3 with 1500 as I was bowling that first game, and when I did, it looked great because it would actually peel a little bit earlier off of the spot down lane as compared to when it was lane shined like I had it at before, where it would go a little bit too far down the lane before it would actually hook. So it was tough because I didn't have really any miss room. I get it a little bit to the right on the right lane and it's gone. It's either going to be a 210 or even a washout depending on how far out I got it. Now on the left lane, I didn't have any miss room in or to the left because it hooks so much, so it would just go through the face every time. So I ended up splitting quite a bit on the left lane because my miss, was inside, and so I kept missing left and had an open in the 10th that game, shot in the 170s, and then the second game was a little bit better. I stayed with the UC3 on the right lane for a little bit, and then I tried throwing the Venom Shock. So although I was in the 160s that second game with another open in the 10th, I realized that would be the best strategy to throw the Venom Shock on both lanes. And on the right lane, it's interesting because they kept hooking less and less. So on the right lane for the third game, I changed to the Venom Shock, and I was throwing it basically 11-7. And just barely hitting light mixers with that, but I ended up with the first 4 strikes. On the left lane, I was throwing the Venom Shock still, but I was throwing it more like about 12-5. And so by the end of the game, I ended up throwing it straight up 11 on the right lane, and then on the left lane, I was still trying to hit like that 13-6, so just a little bit left of where I was to start. But then ended up throwing a bad shot in the 10th and opened again for a 191. Now in my fourth game, I went to the Obsession Tour Pearl on the left lane, and the Obsession Tour Pearl looked really good on the left lane. Because it's asymmetric but shiny and pearl, it still got down the lane enough, but it wasn't super snappy off the end of the pattern, where rather it was smooth, so it helped stay out of trouble, and it didn't split as much. And so I ended up shooting another 190 that game with a bunch of spares. I missed one makeable, a 3-6 that game, but for the rest of the game I was clean. So that's kind of the transition that I saw. My overall game plan this year for going to nationals, although I've never bowled at the National Bowling Stadium, and this is very well able to change and likely will, but my overall game plan from what I've seen for doubles and singles is definitely to try urethane for a couple of shots, see how much the gutter hooks, and also just try and focus on surface. If I see the ball hooking too early, or if I realize it looks like it's hooking less and less and going through the pins like it's dead, then that's simply because it's hooking too early. And so paying attention to that, I think, is a huge key to success. Whenever you're bowling really on any sport pattern, noticing where your ball is hooking and how much it's hooking is very important, because you can have a ball like a urethane ball that's going to hook very early, but if it's hooking too early, then it's just going to die and not carry when it goes through the pins, except for on those lucky shots that might. Whereas with a ball that's a little cleaner, you can get through it, which is why I like my Zen Master at 4,000, because that ball is so good at getting through it. But I honestly think a ball like that might be better for the team pattern, which we'll get to in part 2. So be sure and subscribe down below because part 2 is going to be coming up very soon. So balls that I know for sure, just to kind of wrap up the video, balls that I know for sure that I'll want to have with me for doubles and singles. First of all, the UC3 for sure, and then definitely the Venom Shock, you know, that's going to be my surface ball. And then also the Zen U, I think is going to be a good option. Just to have both of the UC3 and the Zen U as my urethane options, I think would be really good. Also, I'm contemplating the Obsession Tour Pearl now over something like, you know, my Zen or even my High Road Pearl. I think I'd rather have the Obsession Tour Pearl because it's got a larger core and it's a little smoother. But the ones I know for sure that I want are the Zen U, the UC3, and the Venom Shock so far. The goal is to have it toned down to 6 balls, and then I'm going to ship one out to my friend's house in Vegas. Shout out to Kyle for that. Mostly for the TAT that I'm doing the week before I bowl nationals, but you know, it'd also be nice to have that in case it comes into play at nationals. And it might just be a ball that I'm planning on drilling between now and then, but we'll see. So guys, thanks for checking this video out. Be sure to leave a like down below, subscribe, and leave a comment. If you've already been to nationals, tell me what you shot for all events. And if you have not been to nationals yet, then be sure and comment down below when you leave for nationals or when you bowl, and I'll be super happy to encourage you and give you some good luck. So guys, I'll see you next time. Stick around for part 2. It'll be coming out soon. See you guys later.